What's up, y'all? It's your man, Mace Jackson. We are not horizontal. You are looking up my nose right now, though. What's up, Chicago? It's your man, Mace Jackson, getting ready for the Mace Said Video Podcast live on www.intellectualradio.com. We are wrapping the year up. We were supposed to have Craig Hodges. I don't know what happened. Allison Jordan, but it's all good because we got my main man Charles Thomas in the studio. Y'all have switched up my flavor. This weather got me drinking. I had a batch of cold iced coffee today, but it froze me out, so I decided to get some hot coffee. I don't know if I'm turning into a buppy because I got salted caramel. Salted caramel coffee. All right. Y'all do me a favor, if you are out there, get ready for the wildest hour in politics.
That's, Facebook Live.
That's Facebook Live right there.
Gotta know about that Facebook Live.
Man, that Facebook Live is what'll get you world famous.
You get you world famous, also get you in trouble.
That Facebook Live. That's
they don't say you're on, you know. You're always on Facebook Live.
Facebook Live, you be like, did you? Don't talk about
nobody.
Say
something, use a word that, you know, and you end up on YouTube.
YouTube, man, say, look at you now.
Yeah, man.
Because right now, the one page that I see
we good,
Live, man.
I'm not his friend, so I can't.
Follow him on Twitter @Maze Jack.
Oh man, this water cold. I love it like that. That's beautiful.
I need some cold.
Good.
Wanna look like I get some cold water? Yeah.
Yes, so.
You know what? See how people do you.
We jump from business and how they wait.
Hey, y'all out there?
Yeah, it's fine.
Take a moment, share the broadcast. Also, if you don't mind, please subscribe.
I got a lighting problem here on my head. On that Facebook
this light
Live
is
thing.
shining brightly upon
I feel
it.
like I'm like have an aura.
Right.
Really, I mean, man. Plus, I got my
See,
head.
this what happens when you got a professional.
Reflect a lot of light.
What can we do about that? That is kind of bright on the thing. Can you see it? We don't want it to be like.
Don't use that light, okay.
This light right here?
Yeah, turn it on.
Oh, now that works better. Now that's cool. Now that's mood lighting.
Hey man, we don't need no mood lighting. What you think this is? We just got through talking about doing the after hours version of the show. Wanda was back there on the couch.
No, but that's pretty good right there. That was pretty good. That was.
Bring it down. Let's do for a little
Bring
bit.
that one down.
All right. So for our viewing audience, what lighting do y'all like, man? Y'all like that?
Do you like that lighting, or do you like the one where my head is reflecting, where I look like I'm on fire?
What?
There you go.
But see, y'all got now. What we gotta do? We gotta light my man up here.
Why you gotta like the black man? What you trying to say, man? What's up? Y'all trying to play a brother?
Yeah,
You know,
light him.
my Vaseline doesn't bring it out of me.
They were trying to adjust the light for you, and they got me, and I just went crazy.
Man, I'm just saying. You know, I got
Messenger.
my. Let me read the stories, man. You can look. You Charles. Those are all the people. I think that works.
I think that works too, man. I think that works too.
It look good.
Yeah, that looks better.
All right. Let's see. We are watching you all out there live. Has everybody taken a moment to share the broadcast? Reach up there, hit that button, share the broadcast. Right there.
Share the broadcast.
Right there. See it? Hit the button. Hit the button.
Look at me, guys. For 1 second.
Man.
This is all right, man.
You know, Earl got the jazz on, man. Can we get some rump shitty bump shitty rump? Can we get some? You know, I got to get. You know, I was on the way here. I was listening to Ludacris. Whoa, get out the way. You remember that song?
Yeah.
Whoa, get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way. Y'all don't remember that song? You don't remember that song? Charlie T was listening
to Miles.
I was about to say he was listening to Miles Davis.
There you go. We were just talking about Miles Davis.
All right, who is out there watching us live? Are y'all getting ready? Are y'all putting the kids down? Are y'all getting ready for the best hour in politics in the state of Illinois? Will we get it written? Charles, well, you know what I was thinking about, man? What are we talking about this week? We got a lot of things.
And they got, Trump, I think, officially became
president today.
Leader of the free world today.
Hey,
you
man.
know, the Electoral College,
You
affirmed his electoral victory.
That's crazy. I wasn't expecting that.
What did you mean you wasn't expecting Earl? Don't you come to this show every week? Don't you? Earl, is Earl not here with us every week? And then he gonna come and say he did not think they was gonna do it.
I mean, a lot of people haven't gotten their arms around that yet. The whole
They need to
fact
get
that
their arms
Donald
in.
Trump's going to be the president for the next 4 years. They haven't gotten their arms around it. You know, they just,
Save it.
I
Save
don't
it.
know if I have my arms around it yet either.
I got my whole body around it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that.
You know, I just feel like, man, the time has come. And it's like, win, lose, or draw, man. What's going to change for black folks?
What's it about the meetings they have with Kanye, Ray Lewis?
We're going to talk about that.
Jim Brown.
Hey, man. Kanye, listen, we're going to talk about that. I did my commentary on that today about Kanye meeting with President Trump. I mean, who denies a meeting with the leader of the free world, right? I mean, I think so many times we get confused the personality over the policy. And I'm not suggesting that Kanye is a policy expert, but right now, every black person, while white Republicans and Democrats are running up in Trump Towers protecting their interests, like, how we gonna work together? Black folks the only ones being told, you can't talk to the president, don't you
They
talk
had
to
Jim
him.
Brown up there.
Well, I'm saying, but...
And they had, was it Ray Lewis?
Yeah, Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis was
Ray-
there.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Now y'all talk about the black man, but I'm the only one shining right now. That's right. It's
You
your
know, the thing is,
I think it's them lights brought too much power.
Electric Wireless Network.
Okay, we back. Xfinity done went down. We good though, we
No, I
got
don't
back
know, man.
up
I
safe.
think it's,
I think you blew the power with them lights.
no, really.
You got the heater.
Sorry.
Oh, look.
Sorry.
I don't know if this may have been an international conspiracy.
Hey man,
Silence.
we been hacked. Hey y'all,
We've been hacked.
we been hacked.
It's an international conspiracy because we're speaking too much truth up in here.
Man,
They heard Trump and it was
They heard
lights
Trump.
out.
Could have been Putin. That could have been Pootie. That could have been Pootie.
Y'all be careful what y'all talking about here.
well shoot. If they already, what's up, y'all? Don't leave. We just working out some technical difficulties.
Broadcast into 17.
In a minute, we're gonna have to come back to get the internet.
How we
The
doing?
internet. We lost our audience, but they easy to be back.
Lost
Oh
who?
look, no, we back. Look,
Back, man. How we doing?
man. Yeah, that lighting was cooking us, man.
That
Look,
lighting.
Charles got his special glow.
I got my special
You gonna have to
glow
get
back.
powder, man.
Your glow.
Pop powder won't help that.
I'm powder not gonna help that.
Man, y'all had me looking good there for a minute. Now I'm back to, I gotta curate this in a certain way.
Everybody said,
Who's that bald brother
They
they
were loving
have?
the moonlight. We couldn't get it back. Crowd was loving it.
Yeah, you know that heater though. That heat is the cause of many a fire in the wintertime for black folks.
Sorry.
So we're back on the air, huh?
Yeah,
We're
we
back
gotta get ready.
We're back on the Facebook Live, and
Yes,
we're
the
back
crowd
on
is
the.
back.
How about intellectual radio? We back on intellectual radio.
I'm loading up. Give me 1 minute.
We're trying to get some nets. Till we get some internets.
We don't have internet yet.
We don't got no internets right now. I don't have internets. But we got internets because we got cellular nets over there. You know, what if I tilted up some? Would that take out some of the light for you?
Till what out?
Tilt it down. Up,
No, I don't. I think that's the light. That's not the angle of the day. That's all right, man. We're cool. We're cool. What's that?
Wait, you starting without me?
Fear.
No, I'm not there. Just testing everything out.
Okay, which one are we? CV 2.4?
Yes.
All right,
We're in the game?
we in the game.
Okay. I ain't come out here not to be in the game.
Man, in this weather, you can't drive out here and not be in the game.
You okay? Because I'm good here.
All right.
All right?
Internets, man, the internets. All right, Earl. We got us on CP time, Charles.
Right.
Hey, y'all, check it out. You are tuned in to the May Said Video Podcast. We had a little technical difficulties, but we about to kick it in right now. So get ready, shut the broadcast. Let's do it. Come on, Earl, turn it up. Give me hype.
What's the deal? Keep it real. I want a full price. Hold your deal. Let's shop it up quick. I gotta bust a move. Fact check this chatty sounding like a fool. Tie around my neck, still take them all to school. Don't be fooled by the shiny looking dress shoes. On my 1, 2, try to take it for my people, even if I'm wrong. But never that. I'm here to take my respect. You can try to shortchange the kid. Know that I'm coming
For your neck.
Let's talk real for a second with Maze Jack. Hold the creamer. I like my coffee straight black.
Actually, I like it with extra cream. People.
Let's keep it real. I ain't for the scams. I'm too legit. You got a problem with it, you can tell it.
Maze said it. Yo, Chicago, what's up, Chicago? It's not just Chicago, though. It's the world. It's your man, Maze Jackson, live in the building. We are live at www.intellectualradio.com. We are an iHeart radio station. We are doing our thing. And you know what, y'all? We took a week off last week.
We did a couple weeks off.
No, you took a couple weeks off. I took a week off last week. But ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the studio, in the building. My main man, you know we got his alias today. So he's not really Charles Thomas. When he comes here to Intellectual Radio and he breaks it down for the black people, he is officially known as Charlie T.
Charlie T.
So Charlie T, see, this is his, you know, what do they call that?
Alter ego?
Your alter ego. You know, like
Yeah.
in Batman, not Batman, in Superman, and they had Bizarro World, and then it was the other Superman,
Yeah.
right? See, this is where Charles does not
Unplugged.
Charlie T is Charles Thomas Unplugged,
Yeah.
where he is able to really give us the breakdown. Now, before we get started, you know, Charles, we are on AB. Listen to me on ABC. We are on Facebook Live. We are on Facebook Live. And before we get really too far into the broadcast, before we always go, I'd like to ask everybody in the viewing audience to take a moment and share the broadcast. Now, today I want you to take an extra step. And I want you to subscribe to our broadcast. Now, as you know, starting next year, we will be going 5 days a week. Now, not you, Charles. You never be doing 5 days a week because you're doing 5 days a week with the big boys. But right here in the social media space, you will now get an opportunity to check out the May Said Video Podcast 5 days a week. And so what I need you to do, but we may pop up anywhere. The wonderful thing about having a television studio in your cell phone is you can broadcast live from anywhere. So you never know where we may broadcast live from. But we're going to be bringing you the news. So, you know, I might give me a police scanner and catch up to Andrew Holmes. And be able to tell
Andrew
the news.
Holmes, that's the guy who...
That's the brother who is at... I don't care if you homeless under the bridge.
Man, that brother.
I don't care if it was a shooting in Indiana.
He has an industry.
He has created
He is
a
the official
community
activist from the hood. I mean, he gets like, anytime these reporters need somebody to talk to, you know, he is always right there for them.
That, you know...
He should start charging. I think he should start getting a fee.
I think he gets somebody's. He's got to be getting a fee from somebody.
Well,
right?
I think the police help him. I think he helps himself a niche within there and to be part of that. You know, the.
So it is part of like the narrative. Like we got this kind of like whenever there's a crime scene, it's kind. I think we weren't even. I think you gotta stop. I think because you're not really supposed to talk about issues of crime and violence.
Why not?
I thought you was not. I thought that
No,
was
that's a big part of what's going on, man.
Okay.
That's political
What?
to my way of thinking. In fact, we might get into that later on during this broadcast
Well, you know, y'all,
about the politics of basically unemployment.
you see now, look.
The politics of unemployment.
But the politics of unemployment, Charles, then get you to asking crazy questions about people that we've had. You know what? We gonna let's back up. See, we get ready to get too deep already.
Well, no, but we should go there later on in the hour.
Okay, well, Charles,
that's critical. Man.
Well, let's talk about
That's
that.
some
We'll
stuff
talk about
going
the
on.
unemployment, but before we talk about the unemployment, let's talk about what happened in the news today. You know, I walked in here. Earl said, "Did you hear what happened? Did they appoint Donald Trump or not?
Appoint him?
I
No.
mean, did he get the electoral college?
He won the
vote?
electoral college vote. I don't know the exact numbers, but he won it significantly. And believe it or not, after all is said and done, Hillary Clinton actually had fewer electoral college votes.
Fewer.
Yeah, because there were some people in Washington State. There was a Native American guy. There was a brother, I believe.
I
there
thought
was
they was
somebody
trying to
else.
get Colin Powell too.
Yeah, right. They put Colin Powell in. They put this Native American leader in, but that was off Hillary Clinton's total.
They
So
got to
her
stop.
numbers actually went down.
What's the deal, man? Why they still tripping on Hillary Clinton, man? Why they can't just let the sister be?
What do you mean? I mean, she won nearly 3 million more votes than Donald Trump.
How do the
Nationwide.
Republicans always seem to pull that off?
Well,
Like,
they pulled it off in 2000 with George W. Bush because
Right.
Al Gore got more votes than he did, but it was only several hundred thousand. This situation, she got nearly 3 million more votes than Donald Trump, but he's the president of the United States because of the Electoral College. Now, I don't want to have to do a civics lesson here because I don't think I need to. I think your audience is savvy enough to understand what the Electoral College is. But the bottom line is there are more people in this country who voted for Hillary Clinton, significantly more, than voted for Donald Trump. And I think it's the cause of a lot of angst at this point. A lot of people are upset about that.
But what can you do?
Well, at this point, you can't do anything because the Constitution respects the result of the Electoral College. That's when basically white men ruled America. White male
When did that change?
slave.
When did that change? wait, come on, wait. You
that's-
said when
that's
white
why-
men
see, that-
ruled the America.
see, that's-
When did that? Well, Charles,
Well, that-
I'm just asking. Okay,
See, that-
is
that-
there ever a point in our history that white men did not rule America? Just give me tell me the day. Well, did they take a day off?
That's why I come on this show, and that's why sometimes I think I shouldn't come on this show.
I mean, now,
Well,
let's just be honest. I mean, nobody can get mad at, no one can get mad at you for saying that white men have always ruled the country. Like, that's just pure fact.
But
Are they mad about that?
Back in those days, it was statutory. It was codified. I mean, they were slaveholders, and they actually had a rule within this electoral college business that would count each slave as 3/5 of a human being. So that's why the first presidents of this country, so many of them, were from Virginia, because Virginia was a slave, the number one industry in Virginia in the early, what would that be, 18th century?
1800s.
19th century was slavery, because they would bring the slaves to Virginia first, break them, then send them down the river. So there was always a lot of slaves in Virginia, so they could count on those 3/5 to be a larger population, which would give them more electoral votes, even though those slaves couldn't vote individually, and women couldn't vote, and Native Americans couldn't vote. Only the white men voted, but they had more electoral votes in Virginia than they had in any of the other states because of the slaves.
Because of the slaves.
So this whole system was kind of rigged to make sure that these white wealthy landholders would be the ones who would be the president. They'd have the Electoral College, and if somebody would sneak in there and suddenly, be a very populist candidate, oh no, they put the kibosh on that with the Electoral College, because the Electoral College was made up of their boys.
So it seems as though, to me, did you say white, wealthy landowners?
Yes.
Donald Trump is a white, wealthy landowner. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so now that we've come to the conclusion that Donald Trump is going to be the president, what do you make of this whole Kremlin scandal with Vladimir Putin? Putin? How did I say
Putin. I heard on Saturday Night Live, John
Putin?
Goodman called him Pootie.
Putin.
He said, anyway, that was funny. But yeah, I mean, I think the concern that I think the president is raising, he says this isn't a partisan issue, whether or not this guy did this. He says this is an issue of national security, that we shouldn't have any situation where a foreign power can come into the United States and with information and misinformation, fake news, cause people in this country to vote a certain way and to interfere in our electoral process and basically use cyber, basically have a cyber attack, use computers.
Do you watch Meet the Press?
Do I watch Meet the Press?
Mhm.
Sometimes.
Okay, so yesterday I was watching Meet the Press, and they were going on, and John Podesta was on, and he was saying that this big op-ed they had written to the New York Times, and he was saying, Charles, how, you know, this fake news and all of this hacking should be nonpartisan, and it was all the factors that led up to Hillary Clinton's loss.
Well, I mean, I think some of that is probably true.
And then Chuck Todd said, you don't think it had anything to do with the fact that you never went back to Wisconsin after the convention? I feel like, Charles, we are still grasping at straws. I think that if we suggest that the Russians influenced this election, whether by hacking, whether by whatever means that they did, do you really believe, Charles, that reflect? I feel like that reflects negatively on President Obama more than it would reflect negatively on President Trump.
Well, but I think
President-elect Trump.
I think it's a composite of a lot of different things that made her lose, that caused her to lose. There were a lot of different things. In certain parts of the country, black people didn't show up to vote. In certain parts of the country, they overestimated grossly the impact of the Latino vote. Florida, for instance. All those immigrants in Florida and all the people that Donald Trump offended in Florida, he had it figured out that he offended those people, but they weren't eligible to vote. And they were depending on a lot of other people to vote for them. The fact that black folks really haven't benefited anything over the last 8 years.
Wait.
Well, no,
yes, we did. We had a black president.
And that was a benefit, I know. But in terms of actual
That was enough.
economic,
He was the president of all America.
Exactly. But that is his legacy. We're going to talk about that too. But that's his legacy. But at the same time, in terms of the mood of the black community right now, the morale of the black community right now, she didn't inspire anybody. So I think the voter turnout, for instance, in Detroit, I mean, I think she won Michigan, not by much. If folks had turned out in Wayne County, black folks had turned out in Wayne County the way they turned out for Barack Obama, with that kind of enthusiasm, perhaps Michigan would not have gone red.
So, Charles, see, and this goes to my point, because, I keep hearing all the talk about how the white male, how come they didn't craft a message to talk to the white male? But I really see this as, how come they didn't craft a message to talk to the base of the party, black people? And so, while once again...
Because they take black people for granted.
No. While they're scrambling around in the dark trying to figure out what went wrong, right? Wasn't it like a just 5.6, what was like 7-point difference between Hillary and Barack's turnout in the black space? Around 5 to 7 percentage points difference. That 5 to 7 percentage points difference would have probably made the difference in a lot of these states. And once again, as the Democratic Party looks for the new third bathroom, right? So now they're gonna bend all the way back to the right, trying to catch the Reagan Democrats and cater to the white males, they're going to continue to ignore the fact that unemployment for blacks is still out of control.
Out of control.
Right? So, right now, every pundit, every single person that I have seen on TV is talking about how Hillary Clinton failed with rural white males.
Because they take the blacks for granted.
Because the Negroes, they're going to always be there.
They'll be there.
And so, but understand that with just, and she still got record black numbers, right? I mean, she's got, as far as percentage of the vote, black vote, right? But with just a 5 to 7% drop in black turnout, the base, the true base, they lose it all. And they still have not, they are looking to find how they can appeal to a white male who is rapidly picking another side.
And you know, a lot of the luster went off the Hispanic vote after this election. A lot of the luster went off. In fact, so there were Democrats out there who were actually thinking they had a shot in Texas.
I recall.
Yeah.
You was thinking they had a shot in Texas.
I was thinking it because I talk to them all the time, and they were thinking, hey, in this thing, if we get the kind of turnout with Latinos being upset with Trump in Texas, we might be able to do something in Texas, maybe even turn a congressional seat or two. Well, the fact of the matter is, I think they found out in Florida and in Texas that the Latino vote isn't quite what they think it is, that there are so many people out there who are regular. They are Americans, man, in terms of what they look like, they talk like, they work like, but they can't vote because they're not citizens. And I think they found that out, particularly in Florida, the hard way, because they lost. They just straight up lost.
And I'm saying, Charles, again, the Democratic Party had already made the plan to work around the Negroes. Please do not call me during the broadcast because my telephone is what I use to do the broadcast. So if you're trying to text me, if you're trying to call me, maybe I'm doing something on the show. You can't really do it on the show because you are interrupting the broadcast. Now, I also want to hold that because I feel like we lost that in the telephone call. So I want to make sure.
Okay, so I want you to start over.
But hold on, before you do that, let me do this. I want to make sure that we acknowledge our Facebook Live audience that's out there. Shout out to Jay Richmond, Freddie Baez, Corey Shaw, Wanda, you back there sneaking on the thing? Thimby, all the way from Seattle. C. Sadiq Colquitt, Richard Greenfield, and my lovely wife, Commissioner Carrie Steele. I also want to thank everybody that is out there viewing us live. Now, hold on, Charles. This is where we get our viewership up. So we need you. First of all, if you are watching this broadcast, I need you to take a moment to share the broadcast, also to subscribe. Shout out to my main man, Brandon Jones, all the way from Texas in the city council. All right, Michael Drayton, what's up? Roland Shavers. Roland, I know you share the broadcast, so if you want to help us increase our viewership, please share with your friends and tell them to come. You should host a viewing party. Rodolfo DeJesus, what's up? Cheryl Dyer, what's up? Kelly Green, Eric White, Guy Washington, Eddie Jones. Eddie Jones says, what's up to his alpha brother? We won't hold that mistake against you, brothers. And then shout out to Roland. Okay. Now, Charles, before we were so rudely interrupted.
Okay, let me tell you, let me give you this narrative. This is a good one. Our mayor, Rahm Emanuel, stood at Trump Tower and talked about Chicago being a sanctuary city. How if you are an undocumented or illegal immigrant, you can come to Chicago and feel safe. He makes this statement not only to people who might be overseas, who might be thinking about sneaking into the country, but he tells everybody who might be living in the United States now who's not in a sanctuary city, hey, relocate to Chicago because you'll be safe in this town. But this is the same town with the highest black unemployment rate in the country. He invites people here when he doesn't have jobs for people who are American citizens who live here. Right? So you wonder, like, well, wait a minute. This is, what are you saying to your constituents who are African American, who are suffering this incredible unemployment rate? You're saying you don't have jobs for them, but you're going to invite people to come to this city that has a jobs issue for black people?
Okay, but here's my thing. So Charles, how does that work? So this is where I don't understand. I need you to help me understand the political calculus here. So he was overwhelmingly reelected by black people.
Black people voted, the black wards, the so-called predominantly black wards, went 59% for Rahm Emanuel in 2015.
To put him over, that made him dominate the closest.
Yes, and in fact, he won 59% in 2011 as well.
Okay. So now, in the face of that, what is the benefit for him to promote Chicago as a sanctuary city in the face of a president-elect who has said that he's going to cut off federal funds?
Well, let me answer that. The growth pattern in this country says that Hispanics, Latinos, however you want to call them, will be the predominant minority group in this city. He's doing that because the Democratic Party is doing that. And they're doing it not only here in Chicago, but they're doing it all over the country because it's good.
What's that?
That is
what is that?
That is catering and trying to get the support of the Hispanic community, because that's going to be the principal largest minority group. So that's a party priority.
So where does that leave? That's a party
priority. Exactly.
So
that's the question.
Where does that leave black people? Because again, in the face of, so here not only do we have the highest unemployment, and it's almost triple the national average for blacks in Illinois.
Quadruple here in Illinois.
Okay, quadruple.
Yes.
We got the OK Corral going on. And it's safe for Latinos to come here. But it's not safe for the people
that's the
black
question.
folks that live here.
But here's the,
and we voted for them.
Well, but check it out. But this is where you can have a real beef with the black political leadership. They are down with the whole sanctuary. You don't hear them saying, "Whoa, man! Wait, Ron! Don't we need to take care of these people here first?"
Charles.
You're not saying that,
Charles.
And that's where you have the party more important than the community. There you go again with that same narrative that we talk about all the time. How the black political leadership is more concerned about the party and what the party wants, and not what their people want, not what the community, not what their constituents want to do. And that's the issue for us politically. When are these elected officials going to start representing their communities and not their party?
So that gets me to a point, Charles, and it gets to the concept of self-interest and black self-interest. And do we really know what that is? I almost feel like we have been tricked into not speaking on behalf of our own self-interest.
Exactly.
So that now we attack our own people.
It's the politicians, though, who get their money and their political wherewithal financially from the party and not from the community. They're not, so they just looked at what they get and who's feeding them, so they go along with whatever the program is. Here's another one that I found interesting. I had a reporter in my shop ask the mayor at his last press conference after the last city council meeting, last Wednesday, I believe. She asked him, what's the city's policy on hiring undocumented immigrants? Ooh! Now, in the sanctuary city. Now, I know the policy is that if you work directly for the city, you have to have a work permit, so-called green card. But the reporter also asked about the contractors. And guess what? I asked around too. The mayor was very, he wouldn't really answer, but I asked some aldermen. They said, you know what they said? It's some Latino aldermen. I'm not going to say their names here. they told me what the policy is.
Don't ask,
Don't
don't
ask, don't tell. Oh my goodness. And that's why when you look out your window and they're fixing your street, the curb and gutter, you don't see no black people, do you?
Now, Charles, interestingly enough, I was stopped at a stoplight on 55th and King Drive. At which point, I got out and counted the number of people working. There were 20 people working.
I do it all the time.
And
Go
of the
ahead.
20 people working, guess how many were black?
How many?
One.
Oh, that sign?
And how did you know about the sign?
Man, I do, because I do the same thing. I
Charles,
ride around
how did you know
and
about
I
the
walk
sign?
around downtown. See, I don't have a car.
Okay.
So I walk around downtown all the time, and I'm looking at these people. There's this one company called Mead Electric,
Ooh.
and they work under the streets. I don't know who they're working for. I don't know, but man, hey, I don't think they even know.
They
I
don't
don't even know
black
that
people.
Jackie Robinson.
They still there.
They're
Oh,
still back.
they missed the integration of baseball.
They missed the integration of baseball or something, because they don't have anybody. But they are all over the place. But these contractors, they're not bound, and these aldermen are not calling these people out.
Well, you know what, Charles? Let me say this, because I wanted to I wanted to actually commend the aldermen, because during the sanctuary city debate, there were actually 3 aldermen that said that we hope that we can get the same treatment for the black community.
You mean the debate over whether or not they should come up with this money
Yes.
to help the immigrants who are here? The $1.3 million that
Then some people spoke up, right?
what?
Then somebody look. Somebody has to. Charles, I think this thing is gonna be like a slow wave, right? It's like eventually you're not gonna be able to do anything without asking what's in it for the black people, because the community's gonna ask.
Well, you got to keep asking that. I think you
Hey,
have
man,
to
it
ask
gets
that.
me in
You
trouble.
have to raise those questions. I know it does.
Charles,
But
I
we
mean,
have
it
to
gets
ask
me in
those
trouble.
questions, like this question about what is the policy on contractors?
What is the policy on contractors hiring undocumented aliens?
Not aliens, it's undocumented immigrants. These
Undocumented
people are not from
immigrants.
space.
Oh, now you know what? They're not
Come
gonna
on
mess
now.
with that though, because
What?
you know what? It's not just gonna touch. It's gonna touch
No,
the
but-
Polish. It's gonna touch the Irish.
It's going to touch anybody who's undocumented.
But however, what about the people that was documented when we came over on the boats and we've been working? Charles, that's crazy.
You know, here's another interesting phenomenon. Here's something else
See,
to
this is
deal
why,
with.
this,
Now,
ladies and gentlemen,
check this one
this
out.
is why you tune in to intellectual
Okay,
radio.
check
Because you
this
get the
one
real
out.
dirt.
Now, Donald Trump has been extraordinarily brutish when it comes to immigrants from Mexico. He's just, wow. Let's face it.
Did you say brutish?
Yes. I mean, he's just been like hard talking about rapists and murderers. No, come on, man. I got relatives who are Latinos, and they are not rapists and murderers.
Some of my
They
best friends
good
are
people.
Latinos.
Thank you. Then he's also been very, very aggressive in his talk about Muslims, Arab immigrants. Who do you see working on these jobs that you wish, that black people wish they could get? These laborers on the street crews and such. Who controls the small businesses in the black community?
So, see, here's the thing.
See, you're talking about a situation here where Donald Trump's trying to drive, he could very easily drive a wedge. He has already said that you black people are going to love me after 4 years. Well, if he deports millions of undocumented immigrants, who's going to work through those jobs? Well, if he creates an environment where a lot of Arab Americans do not want to be around, or he creates a situation where people begin to call them enemies of our community, can they continue to run the small businesses in the black community, the little corner groceries and such?
So would you be
Liquor
talking
stores.
about black self-interest? Like, what are the black self-interests in
I
a
think
Trump presidency?
black folks have got to start looking at what their self-interest is.
Do they know? Let me ask you a question. Have we been...
We're bringing some things into perspective here. That's what we're doing.
So
tonight.
if Donald Trump was to deport a tremendous amount of not legal residents,
Undocumented
but
immigrants.
undocumented immigrants that have a don't ask, don't tell policy here in Chicago, how could that benefit the opportunities to do work for the black community? Maybe some of those union training programs would have more of a benefit in our community.
Well, I think, we can talk about training programs in blue in the face. The bottom line is you got to have jobs.
Well,
you got to have jobs. I want
who's got
training program not going to put that to me has always been a hurdle that was put there to try to intimidate black people from getting the jobs. I mean, let's face it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Wait, now how could the training program, that's to help us. Explain.
I'm saying you got to go through the training program, but that has always been viewed as a hurdle. You talk about somebody whose nephew or whose brother or whose cousin who's been in the neighborhood forever, who doesn't look like you and me, by the way, but they bring their relatives on to the job. That's more important than the training program. And that's where we missed out, because we don't have any relatives that look like that. So we don't get the job. And these people bring their relatives. This nepotism is rife. Those trade unions are rife with nepotism. Even they will admit that to you when you ask about it.
So are you telling me that there could be a potential net benefit for black people in the rhetoric that Donald Trump
and I really worry. You know what worries me about it?
What?
Because the minute that you start pitting one minority group against another minority group, for instance, if black people, if there were millions of undocumented Mexican immigrants deported, and black folks got the jobs, and then suddenly a lot of the Arab-owned groceries in the black community suddenly shut down because black people stopped going to them. Don't you? And they basically left the community and went back to Bridgeview or whatever it is, and they don't. But check it out. Then what happens? Do they come for you? Do they start coming for black people at that point, or are black people used as an instrument to deal with this minority group and then that minority group, and then they come for you? So those are the things you have to think and talk about. See, we're talking about a conversation here, Maze. We're not talking about, I'm not advocating anything. I'm trying to start a conversation in the black community. I want black people to start talking about this stuff, having a conversation. And
You're not allowed to talk, though.
Well, yes, we are. In media, we can inspire and be catalysts for conversation. That's what we're supposed to do as journalists. Not make the decision, because we're not decision makers. We are issue setters. We set the table. This is what we're going to talk about.
You are tuned in to the Maze Said video podcast right here on www.intellectualradio.com. We are an iHeart radio station live in the building, giving the insights, preaching the truth. The alter ego of Charles Thomas, Charlie T, breaking it down for you right here live. So I know, we were talking a little bit about black self-interest. And Charles, it always baffles me in the conversation when black folks get mad at black folks for talking, right? For talking. And hear me out. So Kanye West. Now, Kanye West of George Bush does not like black people fame, right? He was an international world hero for that. World hero amongst black people. He was legendary status. He bum rushed the stage in the year that we knew that Taylor Swift couldn't dance and Beyonce had the single ladies, and that was the MTV video of the year. Every black person knew it, but we couldn't say it. Kanye said it, right?
Listen.
Hold on. Kanye West goes to Trump Tower. Mm-hmm. He done seen white Democrats, white Republicans. Everybody is going up in Trump Tower going to check on this. Kanye West goes to Trump Tower to check on his. Why are black people mad at Kanye West for going to talk to Donald Trump and he said that in this conversation, he talked about bullying, he talked about schools, and he also talked about the violence in Chicago.
I think, I look at that differently.
Okay, give it to me.
I don't, first of all, I didn't attach any real substance to Kanye West being there, because I don't think Kanye West is in any way, to my thinking, a black leader.
I don't think he's got to be a leader.
I think that the same day, the same morning that Donald Trump met with Kanye West, he announced that this guy, Rex Tillerson, would be the Secretary of State. It was a distraction. This guy, Rex Tillerson, is a oil man. He's an Exxon guy. Can you imagine what you do if you're the CEO of Exxon? What your day is like? I mean, who you might be, what you might be talking about? Oh my God. And this guy's going to be the Secretary of State. Now, on the day, I will confess, and that wasn't all my doing, I have editors, that the day that Rex Tillerson was named Secretary of State and Kanye West sucked all the news coverage out, my editors led our story with Kanye West, not Rex Tillerson.
Yeezy!
With Yeezy. I mean, come on.
Yeezy! He's a candidate! He's a genius, man!
It was brilliant. It was Donald Trump's brilliance. Because he knew that and he walked out in the lobby with Kanye West and it was not seen publicly with Rex Tillerson, who's going to be the Secretary of effing State. Come on. You got to be kidding. We're talking Kanye and Rex Tillerson is in the house?
Amen.
Come on, man. It was a distraction.
Well,
and Donald Trump knew what was going down.
But why are black people mad at Kanye, though?
I don't tell you.
What's the reason for us to be
I ain't mad at Kanye. I mean, Kanye was a tool.
So,
and Kanye didn't even speak. When they asked him, what did you talk about? He didn't say a word.
Tweeted.
He tweeted it. He went over the media and tweeted it. In other words, he used a Donald Trump technique to avoid any questioning. And all the air was sucked out of the Tillerson story for the day, and Kanye got the headline. Come on, man. You're like, I'm stupid? Like, I'm dumb? No, no.
Well, all I'm saying is,
I didn't fall for that.
Well, all I'm saying is, I think that my point in the whole, you know what, that was some very interesting, enlightening, because I didn't take it that way. But what I will say is that what I felt was bothersome to me was the immediate reaction of the black community to castigate this guy for talking to, if Donald Trump calls you, do you not go talk to him?
I'd go talk to him in a New York minute.
Literally. So, but you know what? It makes me think. See, I didn't even get that granular. All I saw was black man, popular personality, not popular personality, goes to see the president, and he is now immediately branded a sellout in the black community because we can't talk. And my concern, it seems to be, Charles, the same way that it goes in Illinois, right?
Well,
Can a black person go talk to a Republican? Can a black person talk to Governor Rauner?
Well, interestingly, that happened last week when Mary Flowers, LaShawn Ford, Kwame Raoul, Jackie, Jackie Collins, they were all at a press conference at which Rauner announced some reforms for the state prison system. And they were all there, and they actually said, in fact, LaShawn Ford called Bruce Rauner a good leader.
Did you?
Yeah.
Speaking of that.
I heard that.
Speaking of LaShawn Ford.
Pull him aside and say, yo, LaShawn, you know what you just said? He said, yeah, he was cool with it.
So let me ask a question. Here's what I think. I think that they have been released to talk a little bit so that they can not be.
No, not LaShawn.
LaShawn is.
He's been a loose. He's been really.
Because LaShawn was like, he said, did you hear about LaShawn saying he would vote for term limits for the speaker?
Yeah, I heard that. He said that to me first.
Charles, how come the black people talk to you first?
I don't know. He said that to me in the course of an interview, and I said, hey, man, be sure to check under your car before you start the ignition.
So
he said that, yeah.
What do you hear about? So, you know what? We've talked a lot of national politics, but people tune in, and they all looking right now just for this moment. So, yeah. Charles, talk to me about what's going on in Springfield. Give us a recap of where we're at now. It seems that, again, it looks like we're not going to have another budget. So we're going to go 2 years without a budget. And it looks like we're headed for a crash because the stopgap budget is going, and the governor is now saying no pass unless he gets term limits and
Property tax freeze.
property tax.
I think the immediate, most imminent danger is Chicago Public Schools. The governor, of course, vetoed that bill that would allow the schools $215 million to help pay their pensions. He vetoed the bill, and the time that the House had to overturn the veto has expired. So Chicago Public Schools are out $215 million, and I don't see too many ways they can get the money back between now and January 12th, because if the lame duck session should begin and end without any movement, then Chicago Public Schools are going to have to find another $215 million to cut, which is going to mean laying some teachers off and increasing some class sizes and some other just unthinkable things that would happen to the schools. The governor says that the Democrats basically didn't come through on their end of the bargain. He said he would sign this bill providing the $215 million if the legislature, the General Assembly, approved pension reform. John Cullerton's pension bill that he introduced a couple of years ago. Well, they didn't. So the governor says, I'm not. And so we're back to square one. Now, the Democrats, of course, are blaming the governor, and the governor's blaming the Democrats, and we're pretty much back to square one on everything. But I think the imminent danger is to the Chicago Public Schools, because these are children who have nothing to do with this fight. And they are going to be the collateral damage. And of course, they are 90% black and brown. Again, here we have black and brown children who are going to take the hit. Our community is Aleppo.
But Aleppo, did you?
We are taking the damage.
He just called the black community of Chicago
In
Aleppo.
Aleppo. We are Aleppo. As this war continues between these 5 white men, or 4 white men, whatever it is, white people, we are taking the hit.
And so, Charles, what I guess I don't understand is, where does the black political power dominance play in this? Like, what power does the black elected official have in this battle?
Lots, but they don't use it.
How do they have power when you say lots?
Well, they have the power.
What can they do?
The power is there. I mean, the power is there in their vote if they voted the interests of their community, if they acted on behalf of their community. But they don't. They act on behalf of the leadership of their party. I don't care what it is. I don't care whether it's sanctuary cities. I don't care whether it's education. They are not acting on behalf of their community. Because if they were, they have the power, the wherewithal politically to stop stuff. They could make a deal with the governor if they had to, separate from Speaker Madigan.
They can't do that though, because
why?
Why won't they then? Help my.
Because they're being paid. Their campaigns are being paid for by the Democratic Party leadership, i.e., Speaker Madigan. He's paying for their political lives, if you will. He's giving them the money to run their campaigns. They're not, somebody on the west side and south side of Chicago, they aren't getting campaign contributions from the community businesses, are they?
Well, that's because the community businesses are the guys that Donald Trump is trying to put out the neighborhood.
Right.
We got to fight those businesses. We got to fight, because we have now taken on the fight of the immigrant.
And then they're and those guys are spending their political money in Bridgeview, where they live.
Or they send it across the island to come shoot. You know what?
Don't do that. Don't go there, because we don't know that. That's stereotyping.
Is that stereotyping? Have you seen some of the?
No, look, I don't want to.
Okay, no stereotyping.
But I'm saying that that money isn't community money. So they're depending on the party to pay for their mailers and those few that do radio ads, if they are contested at all. I mean, that comes from someplace else. And it's not a lot of money. But they're basically not representing their community. Because if they were, man, come on. Why should they let the Chicago Public Schools go down the drain? You mean tell me they couldn't take those 20 votes? How many is in the House?
They've got 30.
But that's 30 in the House and Senate.
All right, they got 21.
21 votes
Or
in the
20,
House to
John-
change up the money. They could change the whole complexion of everything. I mean, what if they got together and said, okay, we're going to have a new Speaker of the House, and
Well,
they
you
gonna
know,
be
I
united,
heard.
and we're going to have.
So, Charles, did you hear about the Republicans being willing to put all of their votes behind a black Speaker of the House?
I don't know about a black. There's some rumor about this guy Scott Drury.
Oh,
from
Scott
Highwood.
Drury now.
From Highwood. I mean, I thought it would probably be, they would have a better chance of getting something done if they did choose an African American to do that with. But I don't know if they could find that person, because that person, the minute he stepped forward, he's going to get the Ken Duncan treatment. They're going to take him out, you know.
They're going to take him out, whoop him, and kill him in front of all the people and leave the body there
You said
for the
that. I didn't
Negroes
do
to
that.
see on the plant. See,
It's
that
okay
plant,
now,
that
but
word got us in trouble. You know what? I'm going to keep that word out of my vocabulary. However, Charles, I guess my question then is, what's the end for black people? What's the end? Do we see
Well,
any-
I see an end, and I see, number one, that because of the national political scene, that I see the Republican Party retrenching. I see them, if they had burned down, if they had destructed, if Donald Trump had lost, then they would be in the position where they would have to rebuild their party. And I think at that point, that would have given some hope to some people. But I think they've retrenched. I think now that they see they can win with this hardcore, very right-wing thing, that they've retrenched. I don't think they're interested anymore in reaching out, if you will. They won. I mean, you know, they won with what. You know,
They won with what they had.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I heard
They're
that.
saying we won with this. And wants to say we can't win in 4 years with this.
So what happens to,
Retrenchment.
what happens to
I
the
think-
black Illinois?
I think the black community has to understand at this point that its only salvation is itself. It has to become more, has to become brokers again of its own political power. It has to be. Now it's desperate. We can't have these politicians saying nothing about schools. We can't do that. We can't have them saying nothing about jobs.
So, but they are going to say something. They're going to say
They're
that
not saying
governor
anything.
did it.
If you notice, the most unreported story in this state and this city right now is black unemployment rate. The
Now
most
tell me about the black
underreported.
unemployed one more
It's
time.
highest in the country, right here in Illinois, in the land of Lincoln. That's according to a very, very credible source in Washington, Economic Policy Institute. Their last report on November 18th or November 30th confirmed that for the fourth quarter in a row, Illinois had the highest unemployment rate in the country. It is the most unreported story in this state and this city, and the politicians don't talk about it. The Democratic politicians, the governor talks about it, but the Democratic politicians will not talk about it. But if we deal with this, suddenly you begin to connect all the dots. You begin to understand.
Connect the dots for me.
The
just
dots
real
are,
quick.
why the violence?
Why the violence? John?
Because of the hopelessness that you can't get a job. That's the violence. That's where it's coming from. These kids have nothing to look forward to, but their parents have nothing to look forward to. You know, the mayor talks about getting kids jobs at Chipotle, rolling burritos and pulling Slurpees at these stores or making lattes. Well, what about their mama and their daddy? They don't have a job either. So this is the hopelessness that leads to the city, black people fleeing the city.
Going to
Black
Texas.
people leaving the state.
To go to Texas.
All because of the job situation. It is the number one story. It's a bigger story than the violence. To this reporter's way of thinking, a bigger story. But you don't see the mainstream media dealing with it. You don't see the politicians, certainly the elected officials, I should say. They don't deal with it. When was the last time you heard of? You heard the Black Caucus in Springfield react to the Economic Policy Institute's number. Now, I'm not talking about some I'm talking about former labor secretaries on their board. The AFL-CIO is
They're
chairman.
too busy trying to get my contracts taken away,
Right.
watching my Facebook Live broadcast.
But they're not
Worry
even
about
they're
that.
not even talking about it. I mean, this report, they're out there looking at this because they like to watch this podcast. This report, November 30th, Economic Policy Institute out of Washington, Richard Trumka, president of the AFL-CIO, and Alexis Herman, Robert Reich, Lee Saunders, Robert Weingartner, the Randy Weingartner of the teachers. These are the big union people in America. They say that Illinois is #1 for black unemployment, and we don't hear any of our elected officials talking about it.
And we
Black
don't
elected officials.
and we don't even have a plan. And
No plan.
And they still talking.
They
And
don't
they're
have
mad at the podcast.
They're
y'all.
mad at the podcast.
They cursing us
They're
out.
cursing
Talking about we done sold
I'm
out.
just- I'm
but we
starting the
can't even
conversation.
figure out what's going.
I'm
We
starting the
just want to
conversation.
talk about something. We just want
That's
to know
fact, folks.
what's in it for the black people. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have that. You know that hour goes by faster than I don't know what. You have been tuned in to the May Said Video Podcast right here live at www.intellectualradio.com. We are an iHeart radio station. I need y'all to take a moment, share the broadcast, tell your friends, tell your family. We'll be back here next Monday for the last show of the year. Broadcasting in the studio, it's your man, Maze Jackson, Charles Thomas, Junebug in the building, super producer Earl, and Wanda Peace. We out!
Just a move. Fact check this chatty patty sounding like fools. Tie around my neck, still take them all to school.
See, that's the part they love. See, everybody calls and say, wait, do you guys know you're still on the camera?
Right.
You gotta give them some
I gotta
behind
be
the
cool
scenes.
with that.
Charles, did you know that? Let me tell you the real dirt about me. So I bet y'all thought I was gonna tell y'all. Y'all not gonna get that. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Thomas in the building. You know you ain't getting no education like that nowhere else in the world right here. And I'm just telling y'all, in 2017, the fire, we gonna be throwing heaters. Maze said it.